what your goal is, right?
I think if you're trying to fight MMA, it doesn't make sense to get good at barambolos and gi chokes. You're not really.
Right. I think, yeah, I agree. I think when you're younger, though, it adds, like time on the mat. But I don't think it's necessary for sure. But it's time on the mat, and they call like disguised repetition for teaching.
Disguised repetition.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
so like you're doing the same thing and positioning this that, and it helps you, it makes you more. It's a tool to become more technical and to understand things, to
Absolutely.
break things down on a deeper level. So I think it gives you a sense of depth, of technique. I think it's a tool for that. And like even from like my daughter, because she's wrestling and doing this really pretty much just no gi, but I think she has a depth of understanding of things, more a special sense of that because of the kimono and the gi.
I could see that. I mean, I would definitely agree. I think the gi slows things down and adds
And I
more
mean,
micro
let's
movements.
look at the numbers, right? You always want to look at math and statistics, and let's look at the champ. We're talking about ADCC, the ADCC champions. Like who's training the gi and compared to who's only done no gi, and
A
even
lot of them
Gordon
are.
Ryan has trained with the gi as well.
True, true, absolutely. You definitely seeing a lot of that crossover. Even like Kanan Duarte,
Mm-hmm.
like he's absolutely one of the highest level in the gi and no gi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting how you look in the B team squad. Those guys are like primarily coming up in no gi and also making waves. I think
That's
both can,
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
to teach their own. It's all good.
absolutely.
It's all good.
And that's actually why I came to Legacy to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
because I got to my brown belt with Eddie Bravo, and as much as I love that and like the nogi scene, I would drop by friends like open mats or like garage sessions, and I enjoyed the gi set portion of it. I'm just kind of like, I want to explore this further. And I already heard about you making waves out in Burbank and like what you've created over here, and most importantly, the community you had here, the culture,
Yeah.
and that's what drew me here. And from day one, it was just friendly faces and smiles, and Professor Joey giving me attitude, of course. And
Everybody giving it in a
of,
funny way,
of
right?
course, yeah,
Giving you a hard time.
absolutely. And then training here, and then really just like soaking in all of the gi, because like I thought like, oh, I'm a solid no gi brown belt, like it's gonna transfer over so easily, and like to a certain extent, I held my own against the gi brown and black belts. But people that highly specialize in like a lasso, lapel, worm
Yeah,
guard,
yeah,
they would shut me down.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you're as good as this as I am at leg locks. So it's like, oh, that's your world. So I had to like really spend like a solid 2 years here learning how to strip the grips and defend and negate their style, and to really get to a point where even now, because I teach the advanced nogi now at Legacy Burbank, and I tell my students, I'm like, my entire gi game at this point is my nogi game. My top finishes in the gi is just arm bars, RNCs, straight ankles, knee bars, all things I do in nogi. The few times I touch the gi is actually for a bow and arrow. And not to say I'm not constantly adding tools, but I think there's so much transferability. Because I'm like, nogi is just body mechanics. And then gi is just like the fabric manipulation on top of that.
Gripping, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's awesome.